wait and see if we get anybody in here today. Now I've got another cat. Say hello, cat. Say hello. Alright guys, waiting for people to get in here. This is going to get uploaded, so I really don't want to have a bunch of dead time at the beginning of the video. Went live last night, did a video, podcast deal with you guys. It's pretty good. In the chat, a lot of people tuning in. I started sharing it around on some of the Facebook groups just to get it out there for people to watch after. And for some reason, YouTube decided to re-upload the video, even though it was already posted onto the channel. And I thought it was uploading a second ago or maybe doing something stupid. So I paused it and deleted it, not knowing that I was deleting the actual video. So, wanted to get in here, get another podcast up to replace it. Which kind of sucks. We went through some pretty good topics last night and talked about all different kinds of stuff, from like beginning metal detecting topics to detecting gear and metal detectors and how to use your machines and researching for locations and all different kinds of stuff. So that got all lost. Try remembering and going over some of it here, I guess. The other cool thing, so if you guys are tuning in, if you watch this either live or you come back and watch it on the channel later, go ahead and if you like what you see, subscribe button. Give this video a like. Helps it with the algorithm, helps the channel grow, helps us get out to more people. Going through some of the analytics last night on my channel, just realizing I'm like 164 views away from being able to get channel monetized, finally. I've only been doing it for a couple of years and finally got that 1,000 subscriber milestone, which we're going past now. I think it's like 1,160 something now. And but yeah, you have to have like 10,000 views in the last 12 months, and we're like 164 away from that. So trying to crank out these videos, get y'all some content up here, get the views up, give people more content to enjoy. Kind of also why I diversified the channel to include metal detecting and fishing and adventure stuff. The reason I called it 708 Adventure is I want to add more stuff than just metal detecting. We had one viewer and they left. No! That's fine. You know, I know it's kind of early in the day doing this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Some people may still be at work or some other stuff, so can't tune in as many people as did later in the evening. But this is when I had some free time. Decided to get it up and get some stuff out to you guys. Guess if we're going to have nobody in the chat right now, or nobody in here, I'll go over some of the stuff we went over last night without me having to sit here and keep up with the chat scrolling along the screen. I like to kind of interact with you guys and comment on stuff that people are saying in the chat. No beer this time. Just some coffee. Yes, I drink coffee out of a giant cup because I need a crap load of it. So let's see. Last night, went over a few different things all throughout the podcast. Beginner stuff to gear to I wanted to get out and talk about people calling people out for fines and faking fines and all that kind of stuff. Something that's revolved around this channel and some of our guys that come out in videos with us for a while. Even though it's completely BS, and now it's pretty much all been sorted out, and the people who made the claims a while back, a couple of years ago, pretty much realized that they were wrong. So yeah, that was fun. just something I think that comes up in the hobby. It's pretty ridiculous. It's a hobby people are supposed to enjoy, go out and have fun, love finding history, love exploring. Um, at least that's in my case and the guys that come out digging with me. Sure, we love making the big finds, stuff that's valuable and that kind of stuff. Everybody wants to make the huge treasure finds that you see, like coming out of the UK, or like people finding like pirate ship treasure along the beaches and stuff like that. But everybody wants to make the big find, but if you don't enjoy the hobby and finding the crap finds and going out and not finding stuff, but junk sometimes mostly, then you're not going to stay in it pretty long. So wasting your time instead of being out metal detecting, enjoying the hobby, watching YouTube to enjoy it and see what other people are finding, and going on Facebook groups just to talk crap to people is kind of it's a waste of time in my opinion, really. It's, these guys like to say that people call people out in their area that are taking the time to research and learn the machine and go out and do stuff and make good finds, and they come on there and say, well, I live in that area and I ain't finding that stuff, so this guy's got to be faking it. You'd be making those finds if you were working as hard as the other people. Jeez Louise, I keep having one person come in and keep going out. That's great. Like I said, I'm not expecting a lot of people to be able to tune in. This is more just to go back over some of the stuff that we talked about last night, because it was good topics and good information. Let's see, what was another thing we talked about? Guys wanted to talk about gear, particularly shovels and pinpointers. And the first podcast I told people that when you're getting into the hobby, or even when you're in the hobby, to budget out in your budget other things than just your metal detector of what you're going to need. You're going to need a pinpointer. You're going to need a shovel, some type of digging tool. You're going to need a finds pouch, stuff to carry your good finds in as well as your junk out. You don't want to be... We've gone to parks before and seen people that have been there before that was digging junk, and they either dig the junk and put it right back into the hole and fill the hole back in, or they just, leave it on the ground, chunk it over a couple of feet away, and then there's a bunch of iron and cans that are covered in dirt come out of the ground. And that's just littered all over the park, and you're going to have people complain about it. So make sure you're taking your trash out. If you're going to dig, whatever you dig out of the hole, take it out. Most parks nowadays have a garbage can. Have a bucket or a garbage bag in your truck or vehicle to throw it into. It's not that hard. There's most times we go out, I have the pretty big relic pouch, and I'll fill that thing up full of iron junk and aluminum cans and everything else about halfway through the day, and have to either go find a garbage can or go dump it in a bag in the freaking vehicle, just because it's weighing so much, it's dragging my freaking pouch on my side. So you're gonna find trash. It's metal detecting. There's good stuff that's gonna ring up just like freaking bad stuff, and vice versa. So you're gonna dig trash, junk. Take it out with you. Don't be throwing it all around and causing problems. Learned last night on the podcast that freaking another place in our area got shut down metal detecting. 9 times out of 10, most of the places that get shut down the metal detecting is either because somebody's complained and there's been bad experiences with people digging crazy holes, not digging proper holes, leaving trash and stuff around, stuff like that. That's normally the basic stuff that gets a bad rap for the hobby, and we end up losing places that we could go metal detecting. If you want to enjoy the hobby and you want to have places to go and you want to do it right and you don't want to have any issues, do what you're supposed to do. Pick up after yourself. There's been plenty of times I've been digging parks and curb strips and everything else in between, and we'll have somebody complain, somebody call the police. I'll talk to the person, explain it to them, show them what I'm doing. If they don't like it, I tell them, hey, you can call the police or I can call the police. They can come here and tell you exactly what I'm telling you. And when they look and try to see where I'm digging, they're not going to be able to tell where it was. Properly fill back in your holes, take all the trash out with you, make sure you're not leaving a huge mess around. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the okay, and they're going to be, more interested in what you found than trying to kick you out and make sure you can't come back there and metal detect. So, but yeah, with gear, budget for all the stuff you're going to need. You're not just going to need a metal detector, a good shovel. A lot of people like to make the argument, oh, you can dig a good plug without carrying around a shovel and just carry a hand digger. When I first started in the hobby, I used like the huge, if you've been around for a while, I don't know if Garrett still makes them or not, but the huge black hand digger that was like a freaking carrying around a brick in your hand. It weighed a ton. They were good. They dig a plug. It was a lot of work. That thing was a hand breaker. My hand would be more tired than anything else about halfway through a day of metal detecting. So I eventually went on to using a shovel. The first deals we started using, we started going to Harbor Freight, the little cheap, tools place, and getting like the mini shovels. We were using those for a while, but they're not that good quality, and you would probably get about a good 2, 3, maybe 4 months out of it before you'd break the thing. You'd break the handle, you'd break the little, rubber grip thing off the top of it. You would break the freaking spade part off of the handle. It would just get loose and just fall apart. So after that, I think for a while I tried one of those like long handle shovels, but the like gardening, like the really skinny long ones with the blade, and that did pretty good up until the point that a few times we got an instance we were metal detecting a curb strip in a nicer area of Chicago, going through doing exactly what we're allowed to be there to do. Somebody complained. We talked to them. I talked to them, explained what was going on, and one thing I tell people is look up the laws in your area and figure out where you can dig. In Chicago, you're allowed to dig in any public property. So parks, beaches, that includes curb strips. Curb strips in front of someone's house is the grass between the sidewalk and the curb. That is not the homeowner's property. That is public property that by city ordinances they're required to maintain and shovel snow off the sidewalk around this time of the year when we get snow and all that kind of stuff. They can get fined for not upkeeping it, and if the city has to come around and do it. A lot of times the city doesn't even bother. That's where all your gas and electrical lines are buried deep down in the curb strip. That's why it's public property, so they can come in there and work on the gas and the power lines, electrical lines, whatever they have down there, without having to worry about the homeowner making some kind of a complaint about it. Now, in Chicago, it's public property. It is a gray area if you can detect there. A lot of times what I would tell people is I would start detecting a curb strip in a neighborhood. If a homeowner came out and complained, I would talk to them. How you doing? I'm out here metal detecting, looking for like coins and rings and jewelry and other stuff like that, relics and stuff. Maybe show some of the stuff that I'd found. And then if they still didn't want me there, I'd move on to the next one. Don't be in front of their house. There is so many miles upon miles upon miles of curb strips. There's really no reason to sit there and argue with somebody and make a big issue about it. You can just move on down in front of the next house and just keep on going about your day. Then you're done with that person. They don't have to, have any problems anymore. Now, in some cases, you will still have people follow you down the neighborhood complaining about it. In those cases, I turn around and be like, I explained to you what I'm doing. I moved out in front of your house, respecting that you didn't want me there. Why are you following me? you know, you want to call the police? Call the police. I'm going to be right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, if a lot of times I've had people be so mad and angry and yelling at me as I'm either metal detecting in a park or metal detecting a curb strip that I've literally turned around and called the police myself. Because the police are going to come out there, and if I know I'm in the right and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and the cops show up and they can't even tell where my plugs have been that I've been metal detecting down this whole dang block, they're going to be fine with me being there. And now they're going to be looking at this person, you know, like, hey, what are you doing? You know, I've literally had cops stop when I've been metal detecting curb strips, and I'm thinking, oh man, here we go. I'm about to have to freaking sit here and talk to this person and explain stuff, and they're going to want to run my ID and hold me up and all different kinds of stuff for telling me that I can't be here. And 9 times out of 10, I've had them stop and they're interested in what I'm finding. I've had a few Chicago police officers that have stopped while I'm doing curb strips. They're like, oh, hey, I metal detect too. What are you finding? You know, what are you using? You'd be surprised what kind of people are in the hobby. But yeah, I was using one of the long-handled, you know, skinny, long-bladed shovels, and that day the cop ended up having to, luckily we were right around the street from the police station, and he didn't know if we were allowed to be in the curb strip metal detecting or not. So he actually was like, hey, y'all guys stay here. I'm going to go right around the corner and go talk to my captain and figure this out, and I'll come back and talk to you. We were like, fine, we're going to be right here. We ain't going anywhere. You haven't told us we had to leave. We ain't doing anything wrong. So the guy left. Maybe about 15, 20 minutes later, came back, had all the stuff printed up. He's like, yeah, pretty much it's a gray area. You can be there. Metal detecting is public property. You know, if a homeowner makes a complaint, maybe move along, or if the police show up and tell you, you know, we've gotten a bunch of complaints, can you please just go for the day? Then just go ahead and go. There's been times in parks, though, we've had the same thing. In nicer areas, there'll be people there, and the police will literally show up and be like, hey, you know what? You guys are doing completely nothing wrong. You're allowed to be here metal detecting. We've been getting calls from a bunch of different people, and just to make our day easier and us not have to have a problem, can y'all just pack it in for the day, maybe come back some other time? And we've happily done that. On sites where we were making good finds, we've done it. Be respectful to whoever comes up to you, no matter if it's just a normal person, even if they're acting crazy and yelling and all different kinds of stuff, to a park employee, if you're in a park, you know, a police officer. If you be respectful and explain stuff to them and just talk to them like a normal person, not get all crazy and the situation not get all blown out of proportions, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to have an issue. This cop came back, had all the information for us, said, hey, yeah, it's a gray area, you know, but if the homeowner asks you to move along, maybe it'd just be easier for you and for us if you just moved on down in front of the next home or a little bit down the street and not had an issue. And that's what I normally do and what the guys with me normally do. We don't like to cause a fuss whenever we're out doing stuff. And then he looked at me and he was like, hey, you know what? Maybe if you weren't carrying that giant shovel, people wouldn't think that you were out digging crazy ass holes and tearing up stuff. So at that point, I ended up getting I've had it for a few years now, the Samson T-handle shovel with the serrated edge on the blade head. It's over there buried in the closet, or I'd pull it out. Somebody came in and checked in real quick, gave the video a like, and it clicked out. Thanks for the like, though. Y'all like the video, even after it's posted up, you come back and watch it, give it a like. You know, if you like any of the other content on the channel, got a bunch of metal detecting videos in the last few years. Got some fishing and drone stuff up. We'll have some other stuff too. So, if you like what you see, consider subscribing. We appreciate all the subscribers. We do giveaways and stuff throughout the year to try to, you know, pay it back to y'all guys in the way we can. You know, people are on YouTube are all over the place, so it ain't like we can meet up with all y'all and do stuff or something like that. So a way for us to give back to you guys is through giveaways, which we normally do a couple a year. But yeah, so the Samson shovels are good. A few guys last night talked about the Predator shovels. I metal detect with a few guys that use them. They are kind of more bigger and bulkier, but they are really good shovels. They do run like over $100. Samson T-handle shovel, I think you can get anywhere between like 40 to maybe $60. I don't remember what I paid for it when I bought one. It was years ago, but it was cheap. That's the reason why I went with it. It was the best quality shovel that I could get for the budget that I had at the time. You know, you got to work within what money you have. If you don't have over $100 to spend on a shovel, then look for something else. There's Gravedigger Tools makes some good shovels. It's handmade by a guy at his house. He sells them online. Predator Tools. Some of the manufacturers now actually have shovels. White's has one that I've heard is pretty good. The Digger guys have a shovel that I've heard is pretty good. I only saw it when they first came out with it, and they were at a Illinois, Iowa detecting event that I was at, where I got to meet those guys. Got some signed pictures and stuff up there in a frame thing that I got. And then pinpointers. I think I've used, let's see, everything from the cheapo little pinpointer you'd buy online to the black Garrett pinpointer, the Garrett Carrot, the White's waterproof new pinpointer TRX, the newer MindLab pinpointers. I have the newer white pinpointer, the newer MindLab pinpointer now that I use. I think it's the 35. That's waterproof and supposed to tell you the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous targets. Pretty good pinpointer. I've had some issues with it. It's not waterproof anymore. So that is another thing where I was talking about last night. Abusing equipment. Somebody commented in the chat last night about the ears breaking on their Equinox coil. These metal detectors and pinpointers and everything else are made to be used outside. It's a hobby that people do outdoors, digging holes, metal detecting in water, stuff like that. So they're built to a better quality than a cheaper product. But every product that any company makes has a breaking point. You can't, if you abuse your equipment past that breaking point, no matter what it is, from a metal detector to a fishing pole to anything else, every product that's made has a breaking point. If you reach past that breaking point with whatever you're doing incorrectly, it's going to break. These metal detectors, the coils and the coil ears and the arm cuffs are just made out of plastic. Yes, they're durable, strong plastics, so they have a lesser chance of breaking. But if you use them wrong, if you use your machine to get up off the ground, if you're leaning on it, if you're freaking banging it around all crazy, smacking it up against stuff when you know there's stuff there that you should try to avoid, stuff's gonna break. I've had 2 Equinoxes that everybody has the issue with the ears on the coils breaking, and I'm the guy I abuse the crap out of my freaking coil cover. If my coil isn't scraping across the ground, no matter what's there, then I'm not getting the best performance out of my machine, out of my coil. I want to get the maximum depth out of the coil I'm using, and the way to do that is have it on the ground. I've gone through dozens upon dozens of coil covers. Normally when I get a machine, I normally purchase 2 or 3 coil covers because I know eventually I'm going to wear the thing to where it's going to get a hole in it, or it's going to crack, or it's going to break, you know. But I've never broken an ear off of a coil. I abuse the crap out of the equipment I have. I go out, I use it, I dig in rain, snow, mud, water, everything else. Places that a lot of people don't even want to go metal detecting at. And I bring it home. I maybe clean off the screen so I can still see the screen and the buttons, and clean out the inside of my coil covers so I don't have dirt and water or whatever building up in there and causing interference with the coil. And that's about it. My machine's covered in dirt, scratched, whatever happens to it, happens to it. It's meant to be used. That's like buying to me, it's like buying a freaking Ferrari and keeping it in the garage. It's a car. Drive it. It's meant to be driven. It's still a car. Doesn't matter if it's a $500,000 car compared to like a $10,000 car. It's a car and it's meant to be driven. A metal detector. A metal detector is meant to be outside in the outdoors in rough conditions, and it's why they build them to the quality they do. If you abuse them, they're going to break. That $500,000 car, if you abuse it, it's going to break. Same thing for a $10,000 car. Everything that's ever made has a breaking point. If you abuse it past that breaking point, then it's going to break. I've seen guys metal detecting in woods, and you're metal detecting through the woods. You need to take a realization that you're going in between trees and bushes and stuff like that, even knocking it up against that stuff. If you're in there and you're swinging your normal swing speed and you're whacking your coil into trees, into rocks, into roots and stuff like that, it's going to break eventually. So be mindful of where you're using your equipment and what you're doing, and you'll avoid the problem of breaking stuff. Out of all the machines I've had, the only thing that I've ever had break, and it didn't even break, it was manufacturer's issue, was I had one of the original macro racers. They rushed production, and the stock coils they released out with the machines were faulty. Luckily, I bought in the Pro Pack, so it came with a second coil, and I was able to return the stock coil and get a replacement and still be able to detect while I was waiting for it. But I've never broken a coil, I've never broken an arm cuff. I've had AT Pros and never broken the control box off of the shaft. Never reinforced them either. So yeah, use your equipment correctly. Another thing a lot of people posted up in the chat last night that I wanted to go back over was maps. Looking up maps for researching. I know a few people over the years have recommended Maprika. They use Maprika. You can find some of the metal detecting YouTube channels that have gone over how to use Maprika. I know man, I forget what company worked. Oh, Treasure Mountain Metal Detecting. And I want to say his name's Heath. He's done some videos. I don't know if they're still up on YouTube or not, but he goes over in details, pretty clear and pretty well, on how to use Maprika. I've never used it. To me, it just seemed a little too complicated for what you're trying to do. You have to go in there and I don't know if they've changed it, but I know that just when I was getting in the hobby and people were recommending it, was you had to go in there, take a normal Google Map image and overlay it over top of a freaking topo map or an aerial map and line this stuff up and figure it out. I didn't want to have to do all that. So when I actually started doing research and looking up stuff, I ended up running across a site called historicalaerials.com. Historicalaerials.com is what I recommend to everyone. It's one heck of a good website to use, completely free. You don't have to pay for anything, there's nothing extra. Go to their website. It's going to pop up like a Google Map image of a overlay of all the streets and everything else. Wherever you're at, you can use it on your phone, you can use it at home on the computer. So it's accessible everywhere. You don't have to save anything. Go in there and look it up at any time. Wherever you're at, or if you know the location, be it the street address, you can type in the name of a park and the city that it's in, and then you're going to get access to all the aerial maps and all the topo maps that they have available off their website that they've scanned from plenty of other places, and just be able to scan through them and check. If I go to a park I put the park name in there. You know, we may be driving down the road, drive past the park. Hey, that park looks cool. Figure out what the name of. Go to Google Maps, find the name of it. We just went past it. Get the name of it, put it into historical aerials, and then I can sit there and scroll through whatever aerials they have on there and go back as far back as it can go. A lot of times on the aerials for most places, we'll go back to at least the 50s. Some will have older ones. The topos will go back as old as they have available, man. I've been able to find places that had topos on there that go back to like the 1850s, 1860s, and stuff like that. Now, they are kind of harder to use just because they aren't as accurate. Fish are behind me going crazy. I can see them behind me as I'm looking at the camera here. But yeah, topos aren't as accurate. It all depends on what era they were made in. The older ones, they could have had a guy that got sent out there to do, you know, topos of an area, and he was Joe Blow that spent 90% of his day at the bar getting drunk, and then went out there and did shady, half-assed work doing his topos. He may have marked a house on there, and where he marked the house at could have been, you know, 100, 200, 300 yards off. So topos, you gotta really look for main streets, line those main streets up. And once you get those main streets lined up and know where they are, then you can go a little more easier off of them. Aerials are pretty much going to match up exactly. Like I said, if you're looking at aerials and say you're looking up a park and you put the park in the historical aerials and you go back to the aerials even if they're in the 50s, you're going to be able to see, okay, was that a park when it was in the 50s? You know, there may have been houses there, and say in the 70s they turned it into a park. It's still a spot you'd maybe want to go check out. It could have been a park all the way back to the 50s, the 40s, the 20s, you know, however old it goes. It's a good research tool to know where you're at and what it was before. There's been places we've gone to and they were parks and we knew nothing other than that around them other than it was an old area. This is a park, there's old houses around it, but going back on historical areas and topos, we've found parks, two parks that I can think of, that one had a hotel on it back in the early 1900s, that nothing is really, unless you like deep dive into that town, you're not going to know that there was an old hotel there. Another park that we went to, old area along the lake shore, you would think it was just a park. It had old houses around that had been there for a long time. But when I started doing research on historical aerials, I ended up finding out that on one side of the park, there used to be a huge building over there. So started doing a little deeper research online and found out that in the late 1800s, it was a popular hotel for richer people that were traveling from Chicago to Wisconsin on steamboats, and they would stop off there and stay the night, you know. They could stop off, stay the night, whatever they wanted to do. It was pretty much a place where they could stay. But for the more wealthier, up-to-do people, then after it was no longer a hotel in about the 19-teens, 1920s, they turned it into a pretty much an insane asylum that ran all the way up until like the 50s or 60s. Now when you go there, you would never know that there was anything there. They've completely redone that side of the park, put like grassy little divots and hills and stuff in, and we started going around the edge that looked level of what everything else did, and started finding stuff. You know, the middle of the park was completely junk. They had filled it in, moved stuff around. You would dig bricks and stuff out of there, so you would know there was something there. But if you hadn't researched it, you would never know. We started working the edges and started finding stuff. Edges had never been touched. So research and using historical aerials can be really good. I was able to do most of that research while we were there. We started metal detecting the middle part of the park, and I'm like, man, there's stuff in here of like houses and stuff like that, like bricks and stuff that I'm digging out of the hole. But like, I need to look and see what this park is, or what it was back in the day. Figured out there was a huge building there. Did a little more research and figured out what was there. Um, there's been another place that we've metal detected a lot in the city that a lot of guys ended up going to after us, even though we found a crap load of stuff. Literally the first day, um, we were coming back from a spot. I wasn't feeling well, so I was having one of my buddies take me back home. And about halfway back to him dropping me off, he's like, man, do you feel good enough for us to stop at this park that we've been wanting to do and check it out? Just us two, whatever, for maybe like an hour or so. I was like, all right, you know what, I'll do it. If I don't feel good, I can just sit down, whatever. We get there, start metal detecting. I still didn't feel good. I laid down in the curb strip and literally went to sleep and took a nap for like 30 minutes. I woke up because he found a couple of Wheaties, and he came over to see if I was alright. I got up and started metal detecting and came across plugs. I was doing, it's currently a school that has like a park area behind it. Some people are going to know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to put it out there just because it's a place that we do still go back to every now and then. And we have the issue of a lot of people going behind us to some of the places we go and digging like maniacs and getting it where we can't metal detect there anymore. This is on a school property, which is also public property, which you're allowed to metal detect unless they tell you to leave. Don't go there during school hours. You know, you go there after the school's closed. Go there on the weekends. You're perfectly fine. I get up and start metal detecting the curb strip, and I start seeing plugs. Start getting good signals in between and right next to people's plugs. I dig 2 holes and pull out 2 barber dimes. So at that point, now I'm feeling good. I'm good to go. We ended up metal detecting there a couple more hours and found a couple more silvers and Wheaties and a bunch of other stuff. That's a spot, if you watch back in some of our older videos, that we were at with Harold when he found his cat bust dime. We had pounded the crap out of that place for multiple trips when he found that cat bust. But after that first day of going there, I went back home, got on historical aerials, and figured out that from where the front part of the school is, all the way around the whole backside of the park and everything, there used to be houses. There was houses, there was a church. The school driveway in the back that accessed the parking lot where the teachers and stuff parked was the original roadway from back when these houses and the church and stuff was there. The church was located right at the beginning of that driveway. But yeah, we ended up going back there and finding a whole bunch of stuff. We would have never known to stick around and start really metal detecting it really hard, going slow and taking our time and digging iffier signals if we hadn't done the research and figured out what was there before. So a lot of times do your research and it'll pay off. You go to a spot that you may think is okay or mediocre, you may pull out a few silvers, maybe a few Wheaties, whatever, and you just think that's one good day, that spot's pretty much done. Until you research it and go back, you don't know what's going on. There's another place that we used to go to a lot and still do every now and then that is a North Shore town that has a park close to downtown that used to be the site of the original school. When I did research, when we were metal detecting there, I got to the other side of the park from where the original school was and started digging up bricks and stuff that made it seem like there was an older brick building there. And when I researched it, looked on historical aerials, there was 2 buildings there at the time that the original school was there. And when I researched it more, I ended up finding out in a little small article that where the original school was, across from it was also the private school where more of the well-to-do, richer children went to. And around that area, I pulled out multiple silvers out of there in one day from, and I think the newest coins that were pulled out from over there were like barbers. We found barbers, we found seededs, Indian heads, all different kinds of stuff out of there. And a spot we thought was just going to be a normal park ended up turning into one of our best metal detecting spots that we metal detected the heck out of for like a good 2 years and pulled a lot of good stuff out of. So research pays off really well, guys. Like I said, use historical aerials is super easy to use. You can use it on your phone. You can use it at home on your computer. As long as you know the area, the place's location, or you just want to go on there and start off from where you live and branch out, you can do that. It's a really good free resource that you can use to do research. So that's always the site that I recommend when people ask me about maps and doing researching for places. Historicalaerials.com. We have one person that keeps jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. Probably going to go for about another 20 or 30 minutes maybe, if I can figure out what else we were talking about last night that I want to cover. Let's see. Really, bro? Somebody did ask about the fish tank last night. Kind of wanted to set up out here to give a little better view. I got better lighting today than I had last night. There's a lamp over there that I tried to shine this way last night. Kind of sucked. It's the middle of the day right now, so I got the blinds open over on the balcony, so the light's coming in, giving pretty good light. So I do plan on getting like one of those round light deals that the phone goes into, so it gives good lighting. So that way, if I'm either doing this out here or back stuck in the bedroom when I'm having to do it at night and my girlfriend's home and wants to relax in the living room, watch the big TV. So, yeah. What else did we talk about last night? Went over gear. Mike tuned in last night. Freaking part of the Illinois-Iowa group on Facebook. That guy right there is a guy that I've followed for years, man. He uses bounty hunters. A lot of people sit there and they think, oh, I need this $700-800 Equinox, or I need this $1,200 Deus, or this $2,500 CTX. I know other guys that still use Garrett AT Pros with Nell Tornado coils, and find some of the best stuff whenever we go out. When all of us guys are all running around with machines that cost anywhere from $800 to $2,500, and he kicks our ass. So Mike uses bounty hunters, and he does really well. A lot of the stuff he's found over the years that I've followed him on Facebook, stuff I'd like to find that I haven't found yet, and he's found it with a bounty hunter. Research and knowing your equipment, man, does really well. I tell a lot of people, I was sitting here this morning trying to figure out, what do I want to talk about? So I start scanning through like different news stuff about metal detecting. You go through the normal list of websites that are like, best metal detectors of 2020, and then you go through the posts of all the different, relevant, newer treasure finds that may have been found like in the UK and stuff like that. And then I ran across an article from I think it was 2018 or 2019 of an article a lady made for like a news magazine on their online site about getting into metal detecting, that her daughter wanted a metal detector, so they got a metal detector. She got into it. They ended up going out metal detecting. had an experience buying a metal detector to begin with that I thought was just complete BS. Said they got hold of a distributor, and the distributor was pretty much like, oh, here's another person wanting to get into metal detecting. You're probably not going to find anything. Don't get anything too expensive because your daughter's just going to go out the first time and get bored with it and not want to do it anymore. That is kind of an issue though with a lot of people. They go out and they buy a $800 Equinox 800. They go out metal detect it a few times, don't take the time to learn the machine, to understand what it's doing, what it's telling them, research to find good places, and now they're taking something they spent $800 on and putting it in the closet or selling it on Facebook Marketplace and only able to get like $500 or $600 out of it, and they're losing money. If you don't know if you're going to enjoy the hobby or not, your best bet is to start with a lower end machine. A lot of new lower end machines now, it's even better for people getting into the hobby because you can buy, say, like a Simplex for like $300. You'll be able to get the money back out of it because people like the machines. And it's a machine that's simple to use, but you're still going to find good stuff. You're still going to get good depth and good performance. Don't think when you first get into the hobby you have to go out and buy a $1,200 Deus or E-Track or spend over $2,000 on a CTX or even $800 on an Equinox. Make sure you enjoy the hobby. You know, nowadays you can go on YouTube and watch a few videos. A lot of problems with YouTube. A buddy of mine used to have this problem all the time, where we'd be sitting there talking about metal detecting, and he'd be going through a few weeks and not finding stuff, and would be all down, and would start looking at people's posts on Facebook or videos on YouTube and be like, hey, you know, these guys are going out and finding good stuff all the time, posting good stuff. You know, why can't we go out and find good stuff? And I had to explain to him, man, people on Facebook are posting the good stuff they find. They ain't going to sit there. When I first started metal detecting, I used to post everything I found. From the good stuff, to the junk, to the clad, to the everything. Just to give people a reality of, hey, you're not always going to go out and make good finds. You know, you may make a few good finds, but the majority of the stuff you're going to dig up is going to be like modern change and trash. A lot of people see people posting on Facebook over and over again all these good finds they make, and they think that every time they go out metal detecting, they find good stuff. You know, you watch videos of YouTube guys that go out and do metal detecting videos, and you think that every time they go out, you know, same thing if you watch my videos. You know, when I'm out filming and we're doing metal detecting, I'm the person doing all the filming. I'm already cutting my metal detecting time down by having to go around and film not only stuff I find that's good, but stuff other people find is good. So there's times that stuff may not even, stuff like maybe somebody finding an Indian head penny or a buffalo or something old that's interesting may not get included in the video. I may not even go over there and film it. Just because if I was to go around and film everything that everybody found, I would never get to do any metal detecting myself. You know, I'm there to film and document stuff and make a video out of it, but I also am there to enjoy the hobby and do metal detecting myself. So they're definitely not going to go around and film everything everybody digs and have dozens of video clips of people just digging out trash. I know some of the channels do it. They include stuff in and call them bazingas, you know. Not throwing any hate, that's pretty funny. I've gotten a few bazingas before and included them in videos. There's a few of our videos where we thought it was something good. Just, oh, this rang up super high. This has to be something really good. You get down there and it's a freaking iron rusted out washer or a punch out piece from a freaking plate or something, from a metal plate. There's junk that's going to ring up just like good stuff. If all those things were included in the video, the people would never really get the metal detect, and the video wouldn't get views. You know, people come and watch the videos on YouTube to see good stuff. You know, sure, you can include some trash finds, some finds that may, some, you know, targets that may have tricked you. for like comedic effect, or there's something good in the clip that you think is funny that you want to add in the video. But all that stuff gets edited out, or they don't even film it. You know, if you just think that these guys go out and do, you know, videos and they go out every time and they're finding good stuff, like, yeah, they may go out and find good stuff, but it's all edited. They're not going to sit there and make a video of, you know, the 10, 12 good finds that everybody made and include the 50 to 100 bad stuff that everybody dug. You watch the Hoover Boys, the one thing I like about them is if you watch the end of the video to see everything laid out on the board, you know, they show the bucket of all the trash that everybody dug to dig those good finds. If you look at it, that bucket of trash is way fuller than their board of good stuff. You know, you're going to dig way more trash. It's just the nature of metal detecting. You're going out there and digging iron. There's junk targets that are going to ring up just like good targets. You know, if you're digging gold signals, you're going to be digging bottle caps and pull tabs and pieces of aluminum and all different kinds of stuff. Even down to like foil wrappers and freaking ketchup and mustard packet wrappers, all different kinds of crazy stuff. You know, if they didn't make those YouTube videos entertaining, people wouldn't watch them. Wow, that coffee went down the wrong hole. So yeah, be realistic about going out and metal detecting. It's a great hobby. You can find great stuff if you learn your equipment and research and have good spots. But you're always, always going to dig more trash than good signals. It's just the way it is. You can have your machine with whatever, you know, kind of cheat settings you want to put on it that you think is going to find you nothing but good stuff, and you're still going to find trash. It's just the way it is. You know, until they make a machine that literally, as you're going along, it's scanning down there and telling you, oh, hey, look, this is a, you know, this is a silver coin. Oh, this is a rusty bottle cap that's going to ring up like a quarter. You think it's either going to be a silver dime or a silver quarter, but it's not. It's a bottle cap. Until they have a machine that does that, you're going to dig trash. When they do come out with a machine that does that, it's going to be expensive beyond most people's reach. So learn your equipment and be willing to, you know, dig through everything is what's going to make you make better finds. It's like I told them, it's treasure hunting, not treasure finding. You're hunting for it. That's just like deer hunting. You know, it's deer hunting. It's not, you know, go out and get the state record or the world record deer every time you go out. You may come in with a little baby deer. You know, you may come back with nothing at all. Same thing with metal detecting. You may go to the greatest site ever and find mediocre stuff or just find trash. You know, somebody could have been there before you and been metal detecting there for years and dug out most of the good stuff. There's spots we go back to now that were some of our greatest producing metal detecting spots. And you go back to now, and unless you're going to dig like more mid-tones and more iffy, trashy signals, you know, the obvious good signals are gone. Not like bragging that we hunted them out or anything like that or cleaned them out, but if you have people that know their equipment and are going through and repetitively metal detecting places, they're going to clean the obvious good signals out. You're going to have to weed through all those junk signals, all those iffy signals. Learning your machine, though, is going to help you be able to go through there and know that, oh, hey, this iffy signal, well, guess what? This could be something good. There's plenty of times with the Equinox, or not the Equinox, but the E-Track and the CTX. A lot of the times, the signals I was digging, and I just witnessed the creep cat coming out from underneath the footstool. What are you doing, child? There's the needy cat. If you happened to tune in to the podcast last night and saw it before it got freaking taken off, you met the needy cat. She's the one that probably now you're going to hear running around meowing her head off. So, yep. She's the needy one. And then the one now that wants to ignore me. Because she wants to go over and see and look in the blinds because the blinds are open. The other cats are already over there chilling, just stalking. But yeah, with the E-Track and the CTX, I got really good at squeaking out those weird, iffy, just signals that people most of the times would never dig. Just learning what your machine does, what your machine is telling you. The E-Track and the CTX are two machines that tell you so much information. You have a pattern screen that gives you numbers of ferrous and non-ferrous. You know, you have those numbers themselves. You may have a signal that ain't going to ring up a perfect signal. That's because it could be surrounded by iron. That's also knowing your site. If your site is full of iron and you get a signal that's consistent on a high number, but maybe really high on the ferrous number, but sounds really good, those are signals I would dig. And a lot of the silvers and good coins that I dug were those signals. Just because I knew, hey, this site is full of iron. If I get a signal that's consistent on the non-ferrous side, but the ferrous is jumpy or the ferrous is high, you know, I'm going to dig that signal because I know there's a lot of iron in here. You know, same thing with like using an AT Pro. There was iron sites with AT Pro I would go to, and I would be swinging along, and I would get a signal that would, you know, swing in one direction on it. It's going from high perfect signal to like a low iron grunt. High, low iron grunt, high, low iron grunt. A trick that I would always do is if I turned swinging this way on it and swung over it, and I was still getting the same consistent signal, I would dig it. And 9 times out of 10, it was going to be something good. It's just stuck in a bunch of iron or a bunch of junk. Cat, really? Told you she's the needy one. Now she's going to come over here. She's going to want attention. This is the needy one. The old grumpus cat. If I don't give her attention, she's going to run around and meow her head off for the next freaking hour. But yeah, know your machine. Know your location. You know, go through different directions. This hobby falls, like somebody said in the chat last night, this hobby falls down a lot more to the user of the machine and not the machine itself. If you don't know these things, if you haven't learned your machine, if you don't know what it's telling you, if you haven't researched your site or being able to read your site and know what's going on, a lot of the times the factor of you not finding something good, it comes down to the person using the equipment, not the equipment itself. Now that machine can only do so much. It's not going to go over a signal and yell up at you, hey look, this is a silver quarter, it's next to an iron nail, dig it. You know, we would all love if that was the case. Where the technology is now and everything, you have to know your equipment. You have to know your location. Knowing your location and the ground conditions and interference factors and everything else is stuff that's probably not going to change anytime soon. The technology on metal detecting really hasn't made leaps and bounds compared to like from the 60s and 70s to now. That's why a lot of older time guys still use their old equipment. There's not really a lot of changes realistically that have made a difference. You know, if you still don't know your equipment, know the ground, know your location, know the things that affect your machine, such as interference, EMI, being too close to power lines, being too close to homes that are emitting EMI interference through the electricity, through the power lines, through Wi-Fi signals. A lot of people don't factor in nowadays that, hey, you have a machine that has a Wi-Fi signal from your headphones to the control box. That's wired in to the freaking board of the machine. If you're getting interference through that, it's affecting the machine. Same thing with like if you're using a Deus. It has a Wi-Fi connection from the coil to the control box, the control box to your headphones, from your headphones to the pinpointer. These are all things that can be interfered with and messed with to make signals in your machine act weird. I've got to watch my coffee before she knocks it over. Now she's rolling around my feet. So I have to pick up my coffee cup before she knocks it over. But if you don't learn these things and know them, you're not going to do that well in the hobby, man. I try to explain this to a lot of people. I've gone through dozens of machines over the last few years, and not to brag, but I've done pretty well with every one of them. You know, I've used machines that people in my area used and couldn't figure out how to use them. They ended up selling them. You know, they had, say they had AT Pros. I have some of the guys I metal detect with, you were using AT Pros and CTXs, and they were taking trips to the UK and metal detecting over there, and using daises and doing well in the UK with a dais. Well, they wanted to use their $1,200 dais when they got back over here to the States, but couldn't figure out how to use them. You know, if you don't know the machine, you're not going to do well with them. Metal detecting in the UK is way different than metal detecting over here. And settings over there that are, you're mostly just digging everything that isn't iron. Well, you're not going to be able to do that in a park in, say, Chicago. You're going to be sitting there and digging trash forever. You know? So knowing your machine and how to change the settings, how to reprogram it, how to tweak stuff, how to knock out interference, what settings to change if you are getting interference. You know, not just doing like a noise cancel, but, you know, maybe lower or up your sensitivity. Change the frequency your machine's running at if you can change frequencies on them. To tweaking different settings, maybe turning down certain settings that are boosting the machine that give you better depth somewhere. But if you're using settings that get you 10 inches of depth on a park where you're not getting interference, but then you go somewhere that has interference and you can't dig a signal that's deeper than 4 or 5 inches, well, hey, know those settings in your machine that you have boosted up that you can go and turn down. So that way you can, instead of digging 4 or 5 inches, now you're digging 6, 7, 8 inches and you're finding stuff. A lot of stuff like that people take and don't learn. I tell people a lot of times, you get a new machine, watch, hey, all right, now you gotta stop. Now she's rolling around and knocking into my tripod. I've got this, my phone here set up on a tripod for this. She wants to roll around it. She's gonna knock it over. Y'all are gonna end up on the floor. But yeah, any machine I got, I would watch, you know, probably hundreds of hours on YouTube before I even had the machine of, you know, how people are using it, where people are using it, what they're finding, what settings they're using, test videos, different setting videos. You know, but you can't watch someone, a guy that I use a lot of settings of that I mentioned in the first video I did, the first podcast, is CT Todd. CT Todd's up in the New England states. He does a lot of farm fields and old home sites that are way outside of, you know, modern stuff. The settings he can use on a machine are way more wide open than what you're going to use here in a Chicago park. But you can go to his site and get the settings and use that as a basis to make your own settings off of that. I found so many people that would get a dais, get an E-Track, get a CTX, even now get an Equinox, and see somebody in, like, say, California, and they're in Chicago and want to use those settings. You're hunting in way different conditions. That person out in California may be hunting out in the freaking boonies where it was an old ghost town and all he has to deal with is mostly iron. So he's got his settings wide open. You're not going to be able to use that here in Chicago Park. You're going to get so many signals in just one sweep that you're just going to be overwhelmed. If you don't know how to set up your machine and learn how to use it, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get irritated, you're going to want to give up the hobby, you're not going to want to go out metal detecting with either by yourself or with your buddies. If it's even worse if somebody you know that you metal detect with knows how to use their machine. If they have a different machine than you, and can't give you settings. And they're out there every time you go out, and they're making good finds, and you're using something, you know, a machine either even lower, you know, machine or a higher machine than them, and you're not finding much. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get mad. You're going to get upset. You're not going to want to go out. You're going to want to give up the hobby. You're going to complain about metal detecting spots. You're going to irritate the holy hell out of that guy that you metal detect with. You know, learn your machines. Learn your equipment. Another, the factor of researching and finding good spots is nothing if you can't go to that spot and know how to correctly use your machine. I know it's kind of like sounding like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's so important. A lot of people just don't take the time to do it, and I see it. They get frustrated. They talk crap about the machine. They irritate their hunting buddies. They freaking don't want to go out metal detecting. They complain about spots where you're going, even though it's a spot where the other person knows their machine and they can make good finds there, but that person is irritated. They can't because they don't know their machine. If this cat don't stop, come here, you doofus. Get. I told you she's the needy one. She's literally running around on the floor, rolling around and making that meow noise that you can probably hear, wanting attention. She's beyond needy. And the other cat is literally sitting over there right now looking at her and like, bro, you are a hot mess. But yeah, I'll give us a few more minutes and I'm probably going to get off. Like I said, guys, I'm going to be putting up more and a wider range of content on here for guys. Last year I didn't post a lot of videos. We weren't getting out a lot. I had to sell my equipment at the time because I needed the money. Everybody was going through hard times with everything that's been going on over the last year and a half. Didn't need my equipment, wasn't really using it that much, so got rid of it. I'm going to be buying new equipment, going to be getting back out and doing videos, but not just metal detecting. I do a lot of fishing now. I didn't want to create a second channel and split everything up and have to worry about, oh, well, you know, I got to come up with everything for this channel. I've got to come up with everything for this channel. I would rather have one cohesive channel that covers a wide range of the outdoor stuff that I love to do. Like I said, I was born down south, grew up down south, didn't move up north until I was like 18, and I love the outdoors. I love getting outside. If I'm stuck in the house, it drives me crazy. About how this cat's driving me crazy. So I get out and do stuff. It doesn't matter if it's going out metal detecting, if it's going out fishing, if it's going out tromping around the woods, if it's going out to I love history, to museums, to historical places, to all different kinds of stuff. I'm always looking for stuff to do. Sitting at home, being cooped up inside, I don't like it. It drives me crazy. I'm not a homebody whatsoever. So, gonna be getting out and doing a lot of stuff this year. Gonna visit a few places and make videos on them. Luckily, my girlfriend likes getting out. We're gonna be taking our son out to places. Be including all that stuff in the videos. There'll be metal detecting. There'll be fishing. Maybe do some geocaching. I've thought about doing magnet fishing. A buddy of mine does gold painting at home that I've thought about doing. We know of a place over in like Indiana and Wisconsin that have gold painting clubs that you can join and do painting, and they have freaking places you can go once you're a member. So yeah, there's going to be going to museums, going to interesting places, exploring stuff. I wanted to add all of that into one channel. So that is why the channel got changed from Detecting Chicago to 708 Adventures. That cat. So there'll be a lot more content on here, a lot more diverse content. If you go onto the channel, you're going to find all these things separated into playlists. So if you go and scroll to the playlist page, you'll be able to sit there and choose what you want to watch. If you want to watch metal detecting, you can watch the metal detecting videos. They're all going to be there. I've already got those all into a playlist. If you want to see some of our past giveaway videos, those are all in the playlist. When I was doing drones, I did drone videos. I still have a drone video that I can edit and put up that I'm thinking about doing, just to have a video to put out there. It was a really cool video when I had my GoPro Karma drone. We went to the lakeshore. I was doing some fishing, but at the same time I was flying around the drone. Took some cool shots of going out over the lake, coming back to the beach, going over the beach, flying around. Almost flew my drone into a tree because of the wind. They don't call it the Windy City for nothing. And all of that stuff's going to be in playlists. The fishing videos are all going to be in separate playlists. So you don't just have to go to the videos tab and have to scroll through what you want to see. You know, if you don't want to see the fishing videos, but you want to see the metal detecting videos, they're all on a playlist. If you want to see the fishing videos and don't really care for the metal detecting videos, so they're in a separate playlist. Also, too, if you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. That helps in the algorithm. If you don't like the videos, give them a thumbs down. It still helps with the algorithm. The like and dislike little buttons on YouTube make no difference. If you dislike a video, doesn't mean that it's not going to get spread through YouTube. Those buttons are just used for interaction purposes. The more interactions, either up thumbs or down thumbs, it doesn't matter, gets it better spread around YouTube. It affects the algorithm. Subscribing to the channel helps. You get more subscribers, build the channel up, we'll do more stuff. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I was looking through the analytics last night and didn't realize that it was like 164 views away from being able to qualify to get the channel monetized. So that'll be a big help, and it'll help go towards stuff to, you know, be able to do more stuff on the channel, pay for going to places once, you know, some kind of money comes in on it. Being able to support doing more giveaways and stuff like that for you guys. I would love to do giveaways all the time. Either metal detecting, fishing. I think one of the last giveaways I did was a fishing giveaway. Gave away some lures and gear and stuff. I would love to do more of that stuff. It's just that a lot of times I can't afford it. Some of the metal detecting stuff that we gave away was stuff that was given to us by a sponsor. We didn't have to pay for it. It made us get more interactions, and it made them get more customers. So stuff like that and growing the channel will give us more opportunities like that. I want to thank everybody who's been subscribed. We've been gaining subscribers. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, man. A lot of YouTube channels you see now are talking about the factor that a lot of people that watch the videos aren't subscribers. I think about 40-something% of the people that have come and watched the videos over the last 12 months aren't subscribed to the channel. If you like the content and you enjoy it and you stick around and watch it, you like watching some of the other stuff, you know, subscribe to it and you get to see everything. You can get notification, hit that notification bell. That helps with algorithm. That gives more interaction on the channel. If you like the metal detecting stuff and you don't want to have to sift through it here on the channel, you can always go to our Facebook group, Detecting Chicago and Beyond. Nothing is on there but metal detecting. You know, if you like the metal detecting, the fishing, the whole nine thing, you can go over to the Facebook group I created, 708 Adventures. Kind of fell off being active on that group, but I'm going to be a lot more active in it. Like I said, I'm branching out and doing more stuff other than just metal detecting this year. So, didn't really have a lot of people on here live. Had people jumping in and out one at a time. Was expecting that pretty much. It's, you know, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's 2:15, so it's been about an hour and 15 minutes since I started this. But I expected there wouldn't be a lot of viewers, but I wanted to get something up since like I said, I did dummy move last night and YouTube did something weird that I didn't realize what it was doing. Before I did, I deleted the video from the channel. So now I gotta be a little more careful and on top of it. It was pretty late last night. Probably shouldn't have done everything that I was doing. so late at night, and I was kind of tired, ready to crash out and go to bed. So thank you for the few people that did jump in here for a little while. Thank you for the one person that's liked it already. If you liked the video, even if you're watching it afterwards, give it a thumbs up. I'll be back next week on Wednesday. I plan on doing this podcast every Wednesday, unless something comes up like family related or something like that where I can't do it. I'll be here. Normally we'll be doing the videos at like between like 6-7 o'clock. I like to do them later so everybody's home from work, relaxed, whatever, chilling, hanging out, already watching stuff. So it gets a little more interactive. That's about it. I've got to go deal with these crazy cats. Go relax. And I'll see you guys later. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Check out some of our past videos. And we'll have new stuff coming up here shortly. Thanks a lot, guys.